My name is Jane Wren, and I'm the head of group operations here at Touch. I just wanted to have a bit of a chat with a couple of colleagues today around what the different symptoms we've each been experiencing with the menopause and how those symptoms affect our daily life. I'll just take it first. So I'm currently perimenopausal and still having a monthly cycle. My first symptoms started about 12 months ago. For me, the most distressing symptom to start with was definitely fatigue, closely followed, I would say, by night sweats and the all too common brain fog. There are some other symptoms I've been having that are quite hard to deal with. And for me, those are joint pain and weight gain. They're the real ones that have been really quite bothersome. So, Tammy, I just wanted to put it over to you whether you were having similar symptoms or any additional symptoms.
Yeah, thanks, Jane. So I'm Tammy. I'm the Group Managing Director for Touch Independent Medical Education. And I agree with Jane, it's fantastic to have this opportunity today to, talk about what is sometimes a bit of a taboo subject, but, half the population have to deal with it. And it's difficult. And in terms of my symptoms, there's been some similarities with yours, Jane. Certainly hot flushes at night, trouble sleeping, definitely. I should just mention that I feel that I'm probably towards the end of the perimenopausal stage into menopause. I haven't had a period for almost a year now. So in terms of other symptoms, definitely brain fog in the kind of job that we have and the level of responsibility. You really do notice that in terms of just forgetting the smallest things. So real difficulties at work sometimes. And on top of that, certainly headaches. So I'm prone to migraines anyway. So I think that's exacerbated that at times as well. So Jane, do you want to let us know about your particular symptoms?
Yes, certainly. Thank you, Tammy. I'm Jane O'Dell, and I'm a project manager within Touch Independent Medical Education. And for me, my last period was well over 5 years ago. So I was kind of hoping that the menopause would have ended for me now, but no chance. It's still with me, unfortunately. Last year, it led me to having some sort of breakdown because I just really didn't know what was going on. Obviously, being a project manager, I'm used to juggling things, and I just completely lost my self-confidence. I had so much brain fog, I didn't know whether I was coming or going. I couldn't sleep. I was having night sweats where I just woke up as if I slept in a waterbed. The hot flushes passed about a year ago, so fortunately that was one thing that I didn't have to contend with anymore. But yeah, it was just this complete insomnia and the brain fog. And I was just, completely lost. I didn't know whether I was coming or going. I was worried because, of my job, because I felt it was just out of my control. Thankfully, the company were very supportive, which has been fantastic. And we have a forum within Touch, in that we can discuss our symptoms, and it's just so refreshing to have that forum. Also, I was suffering from hair loss, which was a really big thing for me. I have very fine hair, and my hair was just falling out. And again, that added to the stress and anxiety. So fortunately, I've got a very sympathetic GP who prescribed me hormone patches. And since then, I haven't looked back. So, yeah, for me, menopause was a really big thing. But, hopefully now I'm being able to manage it, which is great. So, yeah.
Thanks, Jane. That's really interesting. I think both of you then really touched on kind of the next question that we were going to broach, which is how the symptoms affect your daily life. Jane, you've said that you the brain fog for all of us seems to be an issue when you're holding down such a busy job, and various other things you mentioned. I had the same experience as you a bit, Jane Odell. I was really busy at work working on a big project that needed to be delivered. And at times, the fatigue and the brain fog made it really, really hard to do that, and then I ended up having to take a bit of a break as well because, those symptoms just became a little bit too much. And like you say, the company was very supportive about it. Other ways, just very quickly from me on how the symptoms have affected my daily life. One of the things that I've had to really change is the way that I exercise. I always kind of used to do all the kind of like big aerobic classes and HIIT kind of workouts and everything like that. And I don't know about you, but I just find that I can't do that anymore. I have to find that it's the strength training and the stretching and walking are a lot more beneficial and easier on my joints. So that was one of the things. And just a little bit of a side note on the brain fog. I don't know about you two, but, I just think I used to make me look crazy when I was on work calls. You'd just be having a conversation and you just completely forget what you wanted to say, and you can probably agree with me that was kind of like, in our positions, it can be a little bit embarrassing at times. And one of the things that's been hardest for me at the moment is definitely dealing with the body changes and the weight gain. I can see you both nodding already, but, I've always prided myself on maintaining a healthy weight and exercising. And the fact that it just doesn't seem to be having the same impact for me, I find quite distressing and quite depressing. And it's affecting me in other areas of my life. I mean, Tammy, do you agree with some of that? Is the same happening to you?
I think you both touched upon it, and I think it's about that level of self-confidence and self-worth, and also coming to terms with the fact that you are getting older as well. So it's hard. You can't do the same things you did before, and we are lucky that we have a sympathetic workforce, but I do feel for those women who don't have the advantage of that. So for me, I think one of the areas has been because of the migraines that I mentioned earlier, it's been the constant changing of medication as well. You think you're on top of it, and then something happens that's not quite right. And it really is a case of you've got to persevere. You have to, even though it's the last thing you want to do, you're tired, you've just about had enough, but you have to drive yourself to go back to the GP and say, this worked, but now it doesn't, or this isn't quite right for me. And I do believe, again, Jane said, Jane O, very sympathetic GP, and that's fantastic. And I would say the same with mine. But the first solution isn't always the optimum solution. So you've got that to deal with.
I'm finding that at the moment.
Yeah.
I'm finding it's a little bit of, a kind of touch and go, trying different things out to see what works.
Yeah. But definitely at work, in terms of how has it affected me, I would say sometimes at work, and it's been very tough, but later on I've thought I've got that totally out of proportion. It's sort of that inability to be a bit more rational about things. So, what have you felt, Jane, with yours?
Yeah, I think, as I said before, I'm on hormone patches, which I was a bit dubious about having. But fortunately, I have a very good friend of mine who was going through the same thing at the same time. So it was great to have someone to bounce ideas off and our experiences. But I found since I've been on the hormone patches, I hadn't really noticed it at first. And then sort of 6 months down the line, I thought, I haven't had a night sweat. And it was great. And, I've instilled a few techniques within my day planners, just writing things down, even more so than I did before. And also just saying to colleagues, look, I'm struggling here. Can we have 5 minutes just so that I can get it straight in my head? And, that's been a great thing for me. On the hair loss front, I started taking supplements for that, and that's really a good help. And I've also got an amazing hairdresser who is very sympathetic to the menopause, manages to do wonders with my hair. So again, that's given me the confidence that, I was missing before. And I think, it's important to keep talking. I know it's difficult, but just say how you're feeling. My husband had no idea I was suffering like I was. I think he thought I was probably losing the plot, to be honest. But just saying to him, look, I'm not feeling great today. I can't put my finger on it, but I'm really not feeling good. So for me, there's several mechanisms, and also I started doing meditation about a year ago, and it's really helped. And I wasn't very good at it to start with. But yeah, I do 10 minutes a day, mostly, normally in the morning, or just sometimes if I'm busy at work and feeling a bit overwhelmed, I just take some time out and have a meditation session.
Yeah.
And it really does bring me back down. It's great.
I was just going to say to finish off for me as well, what I'm noticing as I'm starting on this journey, which everything that you guys have said as well, just like it terrifies me how long potentially I've got to go through this. But, it's about having what's becoming so important to me is it is about your health and lifestyle that will really kind of help with those symptoms as well. But as we all know, that's trial and error because it's so good to be so good and switched on all the time. But it's definitely one of the things that I've noticed is definitely beneficial to help some of those symptoms. That's great. Thank you very much for your time. And it was really interesting. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Jane. Pleasure.